Hi everyone, it's Laura here for CC Designs, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to create a fun birthday card using the Bears stamp set and lots of different techniques with Distress Oxides. As a first step, I started working on my background, and for that I have some Bristol Smooth cardstock cut at 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and I'm going to add color using the ink blending technique with Distress Oxides. I'm using Tumbled glass, Peacock feathers and salty ocean, and I'm blending them with my mini foam blenders. I'm using circular motions and I'm blending from the edges of the paper inwards. And on the areas where I have two colors overlapping, I'm going to go back and forth between the two until I get a smooth blend. Distress Oxides blend really smoothly together thanks to their special formulation, and using Bristol Smooth paper makes the blending even easier. I'm then going to add some water droplets with the Distress sprayer to my ink blended panel, because Distress Oxides reactivate with water, so I can use a towel or a cloth to dab off the excess pigment and obtain this fun distressed look. Distress Oxides can also be used for stamping because of their pigment component, and today I'm going to go for a tone-on-tone look using the fun birthday background stamp by CC Designs. This is really a fun stamp, great for backgrounds for your birthday and celebration cards. As you can see, I inked it up with Tumbled glass, Peacock feathers and salty ocean Distress Oxides, and then I flipped my panel upside down on the rubber stamp to transfer the impression of the stamp itself. And here you can see the result. I then moved on and started creating additional elements for my design. I die cut some more Bristol Smooth cardstock with the In and Out circles by CC Designs. I am taping the two pieces together at the back using some washi tape because I want to use both die cuts. And then I'm going to add some color and texture to this scalloped circle using Distress Oxides and the ink smooshing technique. You can use this technique in several ways, but in this case what I did is I pressed my ink pad on my glass mat, I activated the ink with water, and then using a Ziploc bag I picked up the ink and transferred it to the paper. I started with cracked pistachio and I added several layers, always drying the oxide in between. And then I added additional color with Distress Oxide in Twisted Citron. And this is really one of my favorite techniques. I use it over and over again. Next, to add some more texture to this die cut, I used a stencil. This is the Boy Doodle stencil by CC Designs, and I'm applying the Distress Oxides through the stencil using again my foam ink blending tools. And then, because I felt that the stenciled pattern wasn't showing enough, I decided to go over it with some Ranger textured paste. This, while drying, will pick up some of the color from the underlying Distress Oxides and will create some extra fun texture on my panel. The last element for my background is this tag. I die cut it out of some more Bristol cardstock using the Baggie and Tag metal dies by CC Designs, and I'm going to add some color to it, again with Distress Oxides and a different version of the ink smooshing technique. Once again, I am pressing the ink pad on my glass mat and I'm activating it with water, but this time I am picking up the color directly with my tag by just applying it face down on the areas of my glass mat where I have the Distress Oxide. And by using the ink smooshing technique directly on my glass mat, I'm going to get a more watercolor-like look rather than lots of texture as I got on my die cut circle. And as a last step, to add some more detail to the tag, I'm going to swipe my Distress Oxide pads, again in Squeezed Lemonade and Mustard Seed, directly on the tag, using a light hand, and this creates these fun striations. At this point, all my background elements were ready and I could go ahead and start working on the focal image for this card. I am using the new Bears stamp set by CC Designs, and this is so adorable. I really couldn't wait to actually ink it up and color it. I stamped the image on some Bristol Smooth cardstock using VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I'm going to do some heat embossing with clear embossing powder. This will create a shiny detail on the outline of the image and will also be very helpful for the coloring of the image itself, which I'm going to do with Z-Clean Color Real Brush markers. The presence of the raised edges created by the embossing powders is going to help me keep the colors contained to those specific areas so that I don't have to worry about not coloring adjacent areas one after the other like you normally do when working with water-based media. And this speeds up the coloring process quite a bit. Z-Clean Color Real Brush markers are water-based markers. You can blend them with each other or with some water, and for today I'm actually doing both. So I'm starting by laying down the darkest markers in the areas that I think will be the darkest, so where I have my shadows. I'm going to blend out the darker markers with a lighter marker. And then finally, I'm going to use a water brush to blend everything out towards the highlight areas. And this way I create shading and dimension on the image. I'm adding my shadows as if the light was coming from the top right of the screen, so that the darker areas are the ones in the lower and left parts of the image. I'm also going to have some cast shadows, for example under the hat or just above the muzzle of the bear, because the part where his nose and his cheeks are is protruding with respect to his eyes, so that's why I have a shadow going on there. And besides the browns, which are neutral colors that I'm using to color in the bear, the palette that I chose for this image is on the red and orange spectrum. And this is because I have some sort of a rainbow going on my card, with the very background being blue, the two die-cut elements being green and yellow, and then I am continuing this rainbow with red and oranges on my image. I'm now going to play some music while I finish up coloring the image, and I'll catch you guys when it's time to put the card together. Once I was done coloring, I used the coordinating dies to the CC Designs Bears stamp set to die cut the image. I secured my die in place with some washi tape, and then I ran everything through my Sidekick machine. I decided to die cut the same tag and in and out circles out of some black cardstock and to layer that over the other die cuts that I had created before to obtain some sort of a drop shadow effect, which will make them stand out from the background a little bit more. I'm using some liquid glue so that I have a little bit of time to position the die cuts exactly as I want. To tie everything together, I decided to matte my background with some black cardstock as well. So I trimmed it down to 4 by 5¼ inches using my guillotine trimmer. And then I mounted it over a panel of black cardstock, which is cut at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 inches. And then I glued everything to my A2 card base. So this is a top folding white A2 card base cut at 11 by 4 1/4 inches and scored at 5 1/2 inches. So basically each layer is 1/16 of an inch smaller than the one under it. I went ahead and glued down my scalloped circle and the tag to my card base, and then I moved on and started working on the sentiment. I used the Happy Birthday stamp in the Bears stamp set by CC Designs, and to match it nicely with my image, I stamped that with VersaFine Onyx Black ink and heat embossed it again with clear embossing powder. I trimmed a banner around my sentiment and then I popped it on one layer of foam tape and glued it to the lower part of my card base. And I used that also to ground my bear, which is also glued over one layer of foam tape. I added some enamel dots from the CC Designs Razzle Dazzle pack, and then I also added some glitter to the present and the party hat using a clear overlay pen. And here is the finished result. I really like how colorful this card is, and these bears are really adorable. I think it's such a great stamp set full of super cute images, great for many occasions. And that's it for today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I inspired you to create with the CC Designs bears. Don't forget to subscribe for more inspiration. Thank you all so much for stopping by and have a great day.